Three, two. How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. We are part of the Across the Board Sports podcast family. I'd like to give a big shout out to our listeners. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Donovan Wilson. No. How you doing, Paul?
Good. I'm doing well, man.
That's good. That's good. I haven't got much hit back on that, but 4D podcast just came out today, so I'm gonna have to listen to it in the morning or tonight when I'm editing my Connor Williams and who's the other guy we just talked about? Brandon Knight. When I'm editing those profiles, I'm gonna have to put on 4D and listen to it and see how much shit they give me about my Donovan Wilson.
Yeah, man, they have a guest on. Apparently, Deshaun Wright's old college coach.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
Because of I've been working, so I haven't been on the chatter. So it was on the Twitter page.
I'm trying to think. I think the 4D podcast account on Twitter tweeted it out.
Nice. Well, good for them. That's a good get, man. Way to
Yeah,
go,
that's pretty
Dan
cool,
and Massey. Way to go, guys. Awesome.
That was really cool. Mike, we're talking about Twitter. Where can the people find you on Twitter?
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy. Letter C, letter D, Piglet.
And guys, I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. You know, Mike, last week you had some beef you wanted to take care of on Meatless Monday. What are we having this week?
This week we're having Daphne's. Daphne's is the new spot that my friend opened up that they mistakenly had me come over for some reason and help. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. They already brought me to way back and they bring me over all broken over to this place. But man, the food is good. Meatless Mondays, I'm not going to be cooking anymore because I'm just going to be working there in the morning. And man, they're seriously, it's so good. The food is, and they have so many vegetarian options. Like today I had a falafel pita, which is falafel, lemon tahini dressing, some red cabbage, tomato cucumber salad, and hummus all in a pita with the falafel in there.
Yes, sir.
And then I had some spanakopita, which if you don't know what that is, it's a spinach and feta in phyllo dough, and you fry it. You could bake it or fry it, but here at Daphne's, we fry it a little bit faster. And then baklava, and their baklava. I'm a Broilers fan. I don't know if you know Broilers, I know is a West Coast thing. It's very similar to Daphne's. Their baklava is cool. No, Daphne's blows it away. It's so good. Oh, I hate being diabetic. I would just destroy that all day.
Yeah, I definitely love some Mediterranean cuisine for sure myself, Mike. I will say one thing though. I've tried falafels at a couple of different places, and I don't think it's my thing, man. I haven't found a good one yet, at least.
I love falafel. Like I'm 200 and probably 35 pounds now. I probably put on about 10 pounds, but around the 230 mark, somewhere in there, the last time I weighed in.
Yeah.
And like, I'd say 25 pounds of it is falafel. And they have pretty good falafel there. I make pretty good falafel at home.
Yeah.
And I would say that theirs is worth paying for. So it's good.
And do you guys have baba ganoush?
They do not. Nothing
Really?
eggplant related. Yeah, I was surprised. They have tabbouleh.
Yeah.
They have tabbouleh. They have hummus. They have spanakopita. But no baba ganoush. I was actually surprised. I thought they'd have something like that.
And I assume you guys have the infamous saffron rice, though.
They have it's more like a rice pilaf.
Okay.
They don't have saffron in it. It's basmati rice. It's really good. It's good in this lemon drop soup.
Uh-huh.
You put the rice in, you pour the lemon chicken soup over it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something I made. It's Greek. It's called lemon and orzo soup.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just instead of orzo, they use the rice from the restaurant. The rice is really good there. But man, it would be nice with saffron. It's not that, saffron's expensive, man. You don't want to get saffron out like in that kind of quantity.
Right.
Make it have to spend $9.99 for a cup of rice.
Yeah, I hear you. Basmati rice is while good by itself, it actually makes a really good Mexican /Spanish rice.
Yeah, it does. love basmati rice. They make sure to note that they have basmati rice too, that it's not Uncle Ben's or, you know, regular basmati's good rice. So
Yes,
I
sir.
like it there, man. I gotta work because I eat there. I've already ate there 3 times. Like Wayback's not really my thing. Their food is awesome there too. You guys have heard me talk about it, and I ordered it a couple times, but burgers and fries not my thing anymore. You know, they make me really fat. But Daphne's, where they have tons of vegetarian and the food's really clean. You know, it has like chicken breast and really thinly sliced gyro, and it's not a lot of points, but I eat a big thing of it with naan bread and stuff stuffed in there and hummus and sauces. And it's just bad when you eat it like every day. And I do. Like I've been there 4 days and I've been called to wait. Oh God, you don't want to get me started with that. We trained 3 days there. 2 of the 3 days I got called over to way back to work. I'm like, I didn't see one plate. I didn't see them guys. I trained at this place. First day today in the kitchen right away. I'm in the kitchen cooking. Did not see one plate plated. I had no idea how to plate any plates. They had this booklet I had to look at to see how to plate the plates in the restaurant because I couldn't train because I was called over to the other place because they were, you know, falling behind. And it's the same owners. So they want to make money at the one place. And I know it. So they can come over. They know I could get the stuff done. And so I basically went in blind today and didn't do too bad. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes, but the trainer was there to let me know. And we got food out to people. So I was pretty happy. But man, I forgot I was talking about, obviously, frustrated about the trading. Oh, God. Dallas Cowboys.
Well, you know, Mike, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually a little bit more excited about this conversation than what we have to discuss tonight.
Well, it's preseason and you know, it's exciting to have stuff happen, but it's still preseason. After a day or two of like, yeah, man, there was live football. Then it's like, yeah, all right, you know, it was, but there's nobody played. Like, there's only so much you could talk about the you know, the things coming in from one preseason game, and then the scrimmage, of course, was kind of bigger than the preseason game. So I know that's leading right into your first question, so I won't go too far into it.
Well, Mikey, I got to admit to you and to our audience. Thursday night, the game was on, and it just so happens that Thursday night, at that same time, I was recording the fantasy podcast, so I actually didn't get to watch the game. However, I am curious, though. You already mentioned a practice, but is the Hall of Fame game closer to an elevated practice and full pads or a preseason game?
You know, typically I would say, oh, it's a preseason game. It's just for young people. But this year's, because they had that Rams scrimmage so close, it really was more like a glorified practice. Like he was having people do, like he was more worried about the Rams. Like this was a practice and the Rams scrimmage was the game.
Yeah.
The starters played in the Rams scrimmage. They didn't do anything in the Hall of Fame. I think like Lyle Collins played, and that was like the one offensive player that played that started, you know, unless we count Schultz as a starter, which, you know, he definitely could be. That's a great battle going on in camp.
Right.
Between a guy that's like really has shown he can play well and is showing up in practice, and another guy that's like potentially could be a beast, but you just haven't seen it yet. So it's like, do you go with the guy that's like slow and steady, wins the race, and he's doing his thing, or the guy that's like could be the speed rabbit like monster, but you haven't been able to see it ever, you know, yet. So anytime anybody talks about Jarwin, it's one Giants game back a couple seasons ago, and it was awesome. And if he does that, oh my God, and he definitely has the weapons around him.
Right.
But Schultz is just this guy that's like, oh yeah, hey, just so you know, I caught this amazing pass and I can't be guarded because everybody's guarding the other 3 guys and the linebacker can't stay with me. And, you know, I'm just here open and I'm blocking better than probably he can. And I'm reliable because I'm not injured. And, you know, it's just a funny battle between the two. Sorry to get off on the tight end battle, but it's been probably the best in camp right now.
If it's up to you, I'm trying to think because I don't know his contract situation right off the top of my head, but Schultz is somebody you consider bringing back at, you know, even at 5 million, you think?
I think if you're bringing Schultz back, because I honestly think McKeon's going to be Schultz. And you always look like that. I think McKeon's going to make the team because he can basically do what Schultz does. He's an okay blocker. He can get open. He kind of has maybe even a little bit more athleticism. So I'm not really looking to bring back Schultz if Jarwin can play. Now, if it turns out Jarwin just gets injured again, now I'm like, well, I'm not hoping McKeon becomes Schultz. If McKeon's the number 2 guy, and I can go like, okay, I got Jarwin. If McKeon becomes the guy, great. But if he doesn't, at least I have Jarwin, then Schultz could go. If Jarwin plays 2 games, is injured 10 again, now I'm like, oh, I better look to trying to bring in Schultz, because otherwise we could be in trouble because you can't rely on the one guy who just never plays. So it's going to be interesting how much Jarwin matters, going forward.
It's interesting that you say McKeon, it could be Schultz, because I wonder, as Cowboys Nation, have we elevated Schultz playmaking last year just because we were hoping to see Blake Jarwin when he got injured, and then Schultz exceeded our expectations? Have we kind of made him a better player than maybe he actually is?
I think I think probably, and I think the reason is there's so much stuff around him that nobody really cares about Dalton Schultz. I'm sorry, but he doesn't scare you. Even the whole reason this is an argument is because Jarwin's scary. And when he's out there, a defensive coordinator has to go, God damn it, that 6'5" guy that moves really, really well and can actually make plays after the catch. How the hell are we going to cover that guy with CeeDee Lamb, Amari, Gallup, Zeke, Pollard? Like, this is ridiculous. Who the hell is this 6'5" gazelle out there? Schultz is just kind of like, okay, well, he'll get us for 8 yards. The problem is it's 3rd and 6. You worry about everybody else, and he gets you for 8 yards.
Yeah.
And then you worry about everybody else, and he finds a zone in the end zone and catches a touchdown on you. And then all of a sudden, he has 6 catches for 57 yards and a TD. And you're like, damn, Dalton Schultz beat us real well. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys. Do I think Sean McKeon in the same system in 2 years could do the same thing? Sure. That, this year and then going into next year, could he do that?
Right.
Yeah, probably, but you'd like him behind Jarwin so you don't have to rely on it. But we don't want to go into the year like we did last year, not knowing like, oh shit, can Schultz do this? And then you find out like, oh yeah, Schultz can. Awesome. We would rather go in with like, okay, we have Jarwin, the playmaker. And then if anything goes wrong, McKeon is fine. He'll get you 600 yards on 50 something, 50, 60 catches on the year and a couple of touchdowns. He won't be a liability, but he's nothing special. And I think that Schultz, like, he put up numbers better than the guy who made the Pro Bowl, Evan Ingram, but he also didn't put up huge numbers. It was like 600, he wasn't Travis Kelce out there. So yeah, he's probably elevated a little bit because of what's around him, but he also played really well with 4 different quarterbacks, no offensive line basically. And he put up Pro Bowl numbers better than the Pro Bowl tight end from the NFC. So, it's a mix, and it's why there's a battle, because Jarwin, people see and go, that guy, that's the guy. Okay. Him. I see what he can do. People look at Schultz and go, okay, like, all right, well, what would you do if you didn't have 3 amazing wide receivers and running backs and a great offensive line? I don't know if you'd be Dalton Schultz. Like, there's nothing that you look at that you think, wow, this kid's special, but he just he gets the job done.
Right. What you think about when we drafted CeeDee Lamb, you're like, man, adding him to Gallup and Mark Cooper, this guy can really unlock the offense. But then you add in Blake Jarwin in addition to those 3 wide receivers. It's like, okay, how do we game plan for these guys?
Yeah, it's like a mushroom cloud explosion emoji. Like, the defensive coordinator's like, 6'5" guy that can run after the catch is your tight end? And then people are like, well, yeah, he can't block. I'm like, dude, you think that defensive coordinator is worried about that? He's freaking out. The thing is you don't really see him do it. So you don't know. Like, if Jarwin shows he can, take advantage of those 3 wide receivers and the coverage they're going to get, and Ezekiel Elliott's attention and the offensive line giving you extra time, and he can take advantage of it. Well, now it's scary. Like, Kellen Moore's just got the infinity gauntlet. But, if he can't, at least Schultz is reliable. I know he's going to be there. I know he's going to put up decent numbers on the year. He's going to be a decent blocker. Like we don't have a liability if Jarwin is no good.
Yeah, well, Mike, while we're talking about this Cowboys offense, was there anybody that stood out to you on offense on Thursday night?
Oh, that is a good question. I know that I put somebody on here, and let me look.
Rico Dowd.
No, I think. Oh, you know who it was? It was McGovern.
Nice.
It was McGovern. Okay. That's who it was. Left guard. I'm looking at little things like that. You know, he's not taking Connor McGovern or Connor Williams' spot. He's definitely a backup, but we need some good backups. Like our offensive tackles did not look good that game. Looked better in the Rams scrimmage. Give them credit. They picked it up. Steele and Secchi did better in that. But if you went off that preseason game, we did not have a swing tackle. It was bad. Brendan Knight was bad. Tyden Secchi was bad. Terrence Steele was not good. So it was nice to see McGovern. That's probably why McGovern stood out, is because he played well in a situation where, you know, the other offensive linemen were not playing so great.
Yeah, Mike, the Hall of Fame game, you mentioned there was no starters there. When second, third, and fourth stringers are playing against each other, what are scouts evaluating?
You know what they're evaluating? They're evaluating your tape and how you do your job. So like a wide receiver, you have a backup quarterback in, the guy might not even see you. He might not even see that you beat your man. He may not be able to get you the ball. He may hold the ball too long. But if you as a route runner knew the defense that you were going against and ran the correct route to go against that defense and cause separation, and the ball just wasn't thrown to you, coaches aren't going to care. They're going to look and go, oh no, that guy was ready. He got open and everything. Do you read things right? Do you blow coverages? Do you happen to make plays? Are you a playmaker? Do you make bad plays? Malik Turner had a great game. Then he fumbled. Well, you know, the coaches are going to be like, the fumble, you know, over a lot of good. He's probably our best wide receiver out there. So, you know, they look for stuff like that. At least that's what I would look for. Are you doing your job to the best of your ability? You know, and then if the things don't go well around you, it's not really your fault. You know, you did your job.
Mike, I know you've been watching football for a long time. I'm curious, how long did it take for you to develop your scout's eye?
Oh man, I honestly still question if I'm great at it, to be honest. Like I'm pretty confident in it, but I honestly will go through mine and then I will go to Dane Brugler. Well, what did he see? Can he confirm it? Okay, he sees the same thing I did. All right, now I'm more confident. Mm-hmm. He saw something different. All right, I better go look. Remember how much I liked oh man, what was the guy? He fell down in the first round, but I really liked him early. Big, tall kid, had a lot of production. And I'm blanking on his name, but Zach said, nah, man, watch again. You'll see where the mistakes are. You'll see that although there's college production, this type of play may not work out as well on the next level. It's a guy Jeff hates. Jeff had him as like
a from Miami, right?
Yes, Rousseau. Yes.
I haven't
and
heard
so I looked
about
at him again. Yeah, and sure enough, I dropped him to a second round, and I put him as a second round just basically based on his body, his uniqueness of his body, you know, and how if he could be taught, he could be really good. So I had a second round grade on him. Jeff Kavanaugh had a fourth round grade on him. And you could see why on tape. You could see that, like, well, that's not going to work at NFL level. Like, he doesn't have the bend. And the way he got his production, you're not going to be able to out-athlete people at the next level like that. Yeah. And I had only watched a game or two, and I was like, man, I really like this guy's production. I don't even think I was watching him. I was watching another player on Miami, and then I saw him make the plays, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's, let me look. And he didn't go into depth into it. And so I trust my stuff, but I also will look to other people. I use Dane as example. Zerline's another good one. Connor Levise on Twitter, really good. Zach is a new one that you got as a guest on the show. So I'll go to them and look. There's one guy, the first guy that did our draft, Kevin, right? I believe it was Kevin.
Yeah, the boys. Shout out
And
to the boys.
Yeah, and he said Osa Digizua. And I went, well, I didn't really look at him because he's an undersized 3 technique, and we don't really need that. We got Hill, we got Neville Gallimore. And he was like, well, don't be surprised if that type of player Dallas goes after. I'm like, yeah, I don't really like that pick. Then it started to go through, and I started, wrestling champ, this and that. And I looked at him like, damn, this guy's good. And throughout, I started telling him like, man, I may have messed up. I gave this guy a B+. And I specifically was like, Oso is a good player. I missed on him. I was wrong about him because he was smaller. And so he's not a guy that I wanted. So I wasn't paying attention to him. Sure enough, he goes on the team and he called that we would go after him. And now you look at the camp he's having, and he looks really good, like a really good pick for a 3rd round pick right now.
Yeah, he does.
That's where you learn stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm still not to where I think I have a great scout's eye. I do my best. I talk about it. I see what I see, but then I listen, like, is it that? Am I sure? So yeah, I still am kind of like not confident in that 100%, but I do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, well, keep in mind that even somebody that we both respect, Mr. Brian Broaddus, he's won Super Bowls and he's even missed on players.
Yeah, yep, exactly. He didn't like Osa. He didn't like Nashawn Wright. He didn't like Chauncey Golston.
He didn't like Michael Parsons either.
Yeah, and that's 3 out of 4 that a great scout like Brian Broaddus, like, all right, okay, yeah, you make me eat my words.
Wait, Mike, you mentioned Osa. Your boy Bohanna had a good game. Michael Parsons had a good game on Thursday night. But was there anybody else on defense that stood out to you?
Well, Bohanna's my guy. He did. He just, man, he is a handful. And don't get me wrong, you know what they did? They ran him ragged in that game. There was a couple plays in the 4th quarter where he was tired and he kind of, took the play off, Yeah, but then when it came to the 3rd down, right after those 2 plays, he got a stop. He just shut it down, shedded, got the tackle, had a 3rd and 1 stop that was awesome. He pushed it was a play where another person made the play. But if you watch Bohanna, he just puts a guy on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's really, really powerful, and he can move. And I don't know how long, maybe the movement only is around for a couple of years. Football's hard on bigger guys like that. But for the next 3-4 years, he is going to be a handful. Him and Osa both are. What good gets. And you just hope that injuries don't set him back, that they're able to play and everything. But they wore his ass out that game. They played him way more than he's likely to play in the NFL. And I think they were testing his limits. Like, okay, right now, what can he do? All right, he's good for 30. But once you get him past that 28, 29, 30 plays, he starts to have a negative return on investment. And I think that's a plan by coaches. Now do it again in the next preseason. Let's run him 30 plays again. Is he good, or is it another one where by the 26, 27, 28 play, he's kind of like, all right, he's getting a little gassed. So it becomes something where you're trying to train him up to see how many plays he can get.
If he were to get 25 plays per week on average, would you consider that to be a successful rookie season for a 6th-round pick?
Yes. I think it'd depend on, how much they ran the 3 down lineman formation, because he's going to be the nose tackle there. But I think I'm assuming it's going to be about 20% of the time. So, if he's in for that 20%, you're pretty happy with him this rookie year.
Nice. Well, Mike, you mentioned that Bohanna was your guy that stood out to you on defense, but was there a Cowboys player that disappointed you on Thursday night with their performance?
Every backup edge, because and we're going to get into the standouts for Pittsburgh, but to give you an example, because this is kind of leading into that, they abused our backup tackles with their backups, but our backup edge rushers couldn't beat their backup tackles in QB. We just didn't really get pressure. Azur Kamara was the best guy coming off the edge, and that is not good, because I'm sorry to tell you guys, he's not going to make the team. He just isn't. He's just too far down the line. He would have to finish off those plays with sack fumbles. He would really have to be doing what Canada's doing. where he's just picking the ball off every time. There's really nothing, but getting pressures aren't going to do it. He's got to finish and everything. Dorrance Armstrong, I know he's had a good camp. People said he just didn't get in, Rondell Carter just didn't get in. The backups, we didn't play Tank and Randy, and the guys behind him just didn't make plays. The guys in the middle did. You saw Bohanna, you saw Osa. Outside guys didn't. So I was disappointed in the backup edge rushers for us.
Is that, after the performance on Thursday night, is that a position group you're hoping we can add some depth somewhere?
Well, I really like Basham. So my hope is that Tank and Gregory are fine. Basham is solid. Micah Parsons adds a spark, and that's your 4 edge rushers. And then Neville Gallimore, Osa, Bohanna can bring something in the middle. And then, of course, your double team eater is Urban. He doesn't really bring anything in the pass rush, but he's the immovable object is his job. So I think if Parsons brings something and Randy and Tank do what they're supposed to do, and Basham can be solid, I don't need anything spectacular. He's a backup, but if he can be solid, I'll like where we are. I'd like to see a Nye play in the 3-4 because I think he's built for that. I get it. He doesn't have the length and he doesn't have the weight and he doesn't have the thing you look at and you think he's great. Neither did Dalton Schultz. And Dalton Schultz had Pro Bowl numbers. Some guys can just play. And I may not be able to. He may be too short-armed, too not heavy enough. He may be stinky. But I want to get him out there and I want to see him play in these preseason games because shit happens when you're a gamer. And I just want to see him because if he could be the last guy and he brings a little bit of juice where you're just like, you put him out there because he's smart and he knows how to rush the passer and he beats guys. He beats guys with his feints. He beats guys with his timing. He just knows how to beat you, even though he shouldn't. I want to find out because if you have that 5 as a rotation and then a Dorrance Armstrong as a solid guy, pretty good.
I feel like Dorrance Armstrong is somebody we've talked about for like 4 years in a row, and he's really still never done anything.
No, he hasn't. It's funny because I heard people going, what is he standing up for? It's so weird that he's standing up. That's not his. And I'm like, no, dude, that's what he did in college. He was a speed rusher. Yeah. He was a sack machine. That's what he did. He got numbers getting sacks. Then he came into Cowboys. And he kind of transitioned into more of a tank. Obviously nowhere near a tank, but right. His type of player. Hey, I'm going to hold up, set the edge against the run, and then worry about the pass rush afterwards. The only difference is Tank could actually pass rush afterwards, and Dorrance hasn't been able to.
Well, we're talking about Dorrance Armstrong and how he's been a bit disappointing as a player just because of all the hype he's getting. But looking at the other side, Mike, were there any Steelers that stood out to you?
I would say I don't know the names. I didn't go into the depth of the names, but their backup edge rushers, like we talked about before, 8 our tackles alive, our backup tackles alive. And because I didn't see that from our side, it impresses me. Mm-hmm. It's impressive because I know Charles Basham should get some pressure. He's solid enough that if he's going against a backup a lot, he should get some pressures. Dorrance Armstrong, I would expect to get a little bit of pressure, against backups. Carter was a good pass rusher in college. I would expect him to get. The Pittsburgh guys were getting pressure. They were beating our guys all night, and I don't know any of their names either. Mm-hmm. So I was impressed with them, and I was going to go on the roster and look, but I was like, I don't know which ones played and which ones didn't. So I'm just like, edge rushers, the Steelers backup edge rushers.
Yeah, my father-in-law, he was pretty impressed with Najee Harris.
Yeah, he's going to be a good runner. If their offensive line's bad. Their offensive line holds up at all, Najee Harris is going to be a good player.
Yeah,
good fantasy player.
It's funny that's kind of a reason that I was avoiding Najee Harris early in the offseason just because I was worried about that Pittsburgh offensive line. But apparently, because a couple of weeks ago I did an AFC North fantasy breakdown with a gentleman. He was saying how Pittsburgh did address her offensive line in the second and third round of this year's draft, so it might not be as bad as people are thinking.
Yeah, it's just, relying on rookies is scary. So a lot of,
sure.
you're like, well, let's see. But young runners are going to do some good. Like I would draft Najee Harris just because even if this year they're not good, they can build up into the offensive line and the running back next year. And if Big Ben goes one more year, which I suspect he's going to, if he's healthy, then I think Najee Harris is worth getting, even if he's a slow starter.
Man, I think he's good this year for like 300 touches at least, dude.
If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm doing that. I'm relying on Najee Harris and my defense, and then Deontay Johnson and them make a couple plays for me.
Another guy I like for fantasy is Chase Claypool, Mike. What were your thoughts on his catch on Thursday night?
Well, one, it's 50-50 on if it was. They're not going to replay that then, and it may have came out on him there. Nice play. He had a nice push off. Claypool is a up and coming star. Nation Wright's a nobody. He's not going to get that call. Claypool definitely pushed off. No big deal. We saw it last year. Michael Gallup did that exact thing on a lesser level to Ramsey. Ramsey's the big name corner, got the call. Nation Wright, nobody. Preseason game, not going to get the call. So if it was a catch, nice. I love the push off. Get yourself space. And make a play for your quarterback because the throw wasn't great. He had to go out and get it. So, yeah, it was a nice play. If he caught it, it was a nice play by Claypool.
I watched the replay of the catch a couple of times. I got to say, I was actually a little bit more impressed by Deshaun Wright's coverage than I was the catch. I mean, it was a nice catch if it was a catch at all, but I was just surprised that Wright was able to keep up with him the way that he did.
Yeah, that was a good rep for Nation Wright. I know people say at the end he got pushed off and he kind of led up a little bit, but I think he was deciding on how much he wanted to sell the call and kind of got mixed up in the middle of that, and it made him slow down. And he's done that a few times. When he gets contact by the ball, it gets pushed off. That's happened more than once in training camp. So it's something the coaches will get out of him because you don't want that. Just play through it and don't worry about what the refs are doing.
Right. Yeah. Don't try to get that call every time and lose reps.
Yeah.
Talking about Chase Claypool, if you were to add him to the Dallas wide receiver room, where would you rank him?
Man, he obviously he's not going over Amari. That's crazy. And I'm not going to put him over CeeDee Lamb because they came out in the same draft and CeeDee Lamb was like, oh my God, he went at 17. How did he drop so far? And Claypool was like, he might be a tight end. You know what I mean? Like he just wasn't thought of like that. And he went into a really good group of wide receivers, Juju and Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron. So, he got to be mixed into that group just like CD did. I'm also going to put Gallup ahead of him. Now, this one's close.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Gallup in his second year did something only 10 receivers have ever done. 10. And we're talking about not some weird 10, we're talking about like Megatron, Julio, Odell Beckham. He's in that realm in his second year. So Claypool's got to do something to go ahead of him. So I would have him after Cedric Wilson. No, I'm kidding. After Michael Gallup, Claypool would be there, and Claypool is pushing. It's just you got to see it first. It's not like I'm saying, oh, Gallup's definitely better. He's not. Gallup's had a big year, 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns before the age of 24. Like that is killer. Let Claypool bring one of those before we, hype it. Let's not go crazy yet. Michael Gallup's done it in a year, and then last year is like a third option with 4 quarterbacks. He almost had 1,000 yards. He had the most yards per catch for our that core receiving core. So, let's not go crazy. Michael Gallup may be the third guy, but so's Claypool. Claypool's third behind Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster. So, he'd be fourth for us.
I actually have Claypool ahead of Gallup, and the only reason being was how Claypool gets used in his offense. Now we saw a little brief stint of it with Gallup being used the way that Claypool is, and I think we're going to see more of that this year instead of just being the deep threat. But just because of how he was utilized and what he can do in different roles, I still kind of like Claypool just a little bit more. But again, that could change this year, seeing, hearing all the reports about how Gallup's going to be moved up all around the line.
Cowboys Nation, let's all boo Paul. He hates Michael Gallup. He wants to trade him. He thinks Michael Gallup's terrible. That's what I heard.
Fair enough. Okay, so you wouldn't trade Gallup, Jalen Smith in the third for C.J. Henderson of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
No, I would not. No, I really like Henderson, but I'm not trying to hurt our good part of our we're going to need that offense to be unbelievable, not great, unbelievable. And it's great without Gallup. It's not unbelievable without Gallup. So don't weaken your big strength to get another young corner. Are you certain? I really like CJ Henderson, by the way. I love CJ Henderson. I had him as my second corner behind Okuda. Love him. Are you sure he's going to be better than Boss Man Fat? Are you sure? Is he better than Diggs? Are you sure? So I don't know. Trading what I know Michael Gallup is as a strength in our offense and other stuff to get is he better than our top two corners? You know, young wise, we're saying going forward, I don't think he's, I'm not crazy. I'm not saying Nashawn Wright's going to be better than him. I'm saying Boss Man Fat dropped because people were worried about his rapping. I had him as the 24th best player in the draft. He wasn't a second round player. He is a beast cover guy. He could end up being better than Trayvon Diggs. He can cover like that if he's dedicated and in the film room and working as hard as Diggs does. So I don't know. Would I take Henderson for like a second round pick, or would I trade something else for him? Yeah, I really like CJ Henderson, but I'm not looking to weaken the offense. No, thank you.
Well, what if you knew that you would get Blake Jarwin full season, all 17 weeks?
No, I don't know what Blake Jarwin is. I don't know what he is yet. He's been injured, but he's played and couldn't win a job from Jason Witten. Now we know that coaching staff was moronic, but if he was great, like elite, Witten wasn't that good. He was all right then. Like but if there was somebody there, like Romo sat because Dak Prescott got in and Romo never came back. If Blake Jarwin was that, Witten would have been sitting. There would have been more snaps for him, just period. If it could happen to the quarterback, it could happen to the old ass tight end. So no, I would need to see what Blake Jarwin is. Even if Blake Jarwin is amazing, we get him all those games. I don't want to lose Gallup still. More pressure. You know how we're going to beat Tampa Bay? Got to score on them. I don't expect our defense could be excellent this year and still give up 30 to Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. Great defenses could be beat for 30 to Tampa Bay. So, we need our offense to be great, period.
Agreed. I think you made a good point about the Blake Jarwin's not being able to unseat Jason Witten. That was a good point there.
Yeah, and we don't get me wrong, we understand the bias that that coaching staff worked with. It was not going to take a normal performance. If Blake Jarwin was just better, hey, he's clearly better than Jason Witten. Jason Witten was still starting. It had to be, oh my God, this 6'5" guy is ridiculous. He would have had to play like he did in the Giants game, 6 games. But if he was that player, he would be doing that. So I don't know what Jarwin's going to be. I know Gallup's 1,206 if he's the wide receiver 2. And that is beast numbers. That's good. That is really good. So, yeah, I'm not looking to get rid of Gallup.
Yeah, 1,206 from your wide receiver 2. That you can only imagine what your wide receiver 1, your alpha wide receiver, is doing if your wide receiver 2 is having that type of season.
Exactly. As a kid, as a friggin' second-year receiver, it's crazy.
While we're sticking to wide receivers, Mike, Drew Pearson finally gets the respect he deserves and is inducted into the Hall of Fame. Where do you have him ranked as amongst Cowboys receivers all time?
He's my 4th. I personally have Irvin first, Michael Irvin. I just think he not only did he perform on the field, but he was the leader of the locker room for 3 Super Bowl teams. I would take him. He's not the best wide receiver ever. I understand that's Jerry Rice. If you're making me pick one guy, I'm picking Michael Irvin. Because you know what he did? He went to the coach with a list of guys And he said, these guys didn't care when we were losing. Get them off the team. Went to that's what I want. Every practice showed up. Now, did he fuck stuff off the field? Yeah, he had issues, drugs, everything like that.
Yeah.
But when game day came, he not only was there, but he literally is like, where's this play supposed to go? Okay, I want to be that guy. The infamous Alvin Harper play where he catches the ball in the Niners and goes, that play was supposed to go to Alvin Harper on the other side. Michael Irvin said, no, we've been going to you all day on this. The Niners have been leaving it open all day. Michael Irvin said, I'm taking that route this time. They've been leaving it open all day. I'll do it. The Niners switched the coverage up because it was Michael Irvin on the other side. And the slant that Irvin normally does went to Alvin Harper. He caught it for a huge gain, almost won it all. He basically won the game for us on that play. Michael Irvin always wants the ball. He's my number one. Number two is Bullet Bob Hayes.
Yes, sir.
This is no disrespect to T.O. I am a first ballot. T.O. is the man. The guy's got all the stats. He is a beast. Bullet Bob Hayes in his days was just different. He was just special. He was special like when you see guys now and you go like Dion was special, like Barry Sanders is special. Bullet Bob Hayes for his time was that kind of special. His speed was elite of the elite for that time. So he's second. T.O. is third.
Really? Even in a short stint here, huh?
Yes, because he could be considered the best ever. He's if you just took on the field like guardable, like you're talking like he just has he has the numbers. He played injured. He's tough. He's a beast, and I don't give a shit. The other guy that I put was doing drugs and everything else off the field. I don't care about, you know what you need? Better coaches. That's what you need for these. Oh, he's a locker room, this and that. Then you should have better coaches. Phil Jackson dealt with Dennis Rodman through championships. If you have good coaching, that shit don't matter. So T.O. is my third, a monster. He's just too good all time to not have him up that high. And then I would have Drew Pearson fourth.
Yeah, well, Mike, considering I never watched Pearson play, this is hard for me to answer, but he's in the Cowboys Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame, and was on an all-decade team in the 70s. I think he's in the top five with Michael Irvin, Bob Hayes, and Des Bryant for me.
Yeah, he's got to be up there. Also, you got to throw in the Cheeto Awuzie pick. The greatest draft selection of all time in history. Everybody tries to copy it now and do some dumb version that everybody's like, oh, you're doing the Drew Pearson thing. Like, yeah, you're too late. He already won that award. Like, it'll never be duplicated. That was perfection because he didn't come up to do that. He's a super like nice guy. And so he came up and the Philly fans just kept giving him shit. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back at him. And on the fly, when he's like, all right, I'm getting this reaction, he comes up with this amazing, it's beautiful. So, you honestly can put him as high as you want just for that. But Dez is my next. Dez is after Drew Pearson. He's my fifth. I love Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant's probably my second favorite of the group, but he's my fifth on the list of Cowboys wide receivers.
Dude, I was looking at Michael Irvin's numbers, and man, it was just crazy to think that he had when you look at the Cowboys offense, it was good, but they didn't have they weren't putting up numbers like you would in the modern NFL as we see today. But to think that he still had a 1,600-yard season, multiple TDs. I think he had I don't know if he had a 100-catch season, but then he also he holds a record for 11 straight games with 100 yards or more. I mean, that's just crazy to think about.
It makes me laugh when people they take this day and age stats and they go, well, look at this guy's stats compared to Michael Irvin. Like, Michael Irvin's in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, dude, you don't know what he is doing on Jimmy Johnson was a defense, run the ball. Back then, that's how you won football. And this man had 1,600 yards. They barely threw. They're barely threw. And everyone knew he was getting the ball. You could tell when it's a young fan because they don't understand that the game wasn't always opened up like that. Michael Irvin's routes, you had to take. Look how his career ended. He got his head slammed into the turf, and that's how his career ended because you did that back then. You had to have guts to do that. And man, I seen him. He's the only guy I ever seen eat up Deion Sanders. Like it was just like one game, Deion Sanders would get Michael Irvin, and another one, Michael Irvin would go for 100 on him. Michael Irvin had that kind of ability. There's no Revis Island on Michael Irvin. It didn't. Deion couldn't do it. There's not a guy in your coverage arsenal that can take away Michael Irvin. He was too big, too good a route runner, too good at hands, too physical. He was amazing. He's one of the most underappreciated receivers because of that stat thing. And they don't understand he led a Super Bowl. He was the leader, not the quarterback, not Troy Aikman. He was the leader of the offense, the defense, the special teams, the coach. He was the guy. The reason they won the Super Bowl after Jimmy left and they had Barry, Michael Irvin. That is why. He got their ass in gear. He's just awesome. He's my favorite. He's the first wide receiver I'd ever take if I'm given in a draft. And that's why I'd wait. I'd take the quarterback. I'd take the left tackle. Because I know everybody's going to leave me Michael Irvin. They're going to get 100 other receivers, and I'm going to have Michael Irvin and like Steve Smith. And I'm going to bully your asses all over the place.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this, Mike, because we've got to experience a couple of sets of triplets. Would you rather have Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irving, Romo, DeMarco Murray, and Des Bryant, or Dak, Zeke, and CeeDee Lamb?
The other two aren't even in the category of the 90s guys. They're not even in the realm. They just aren't. They cannot perform like those three performed on the highest level, on the best stage. Give me the Des. I don't want Des or Amari over Irvin. I don't want Romo or Dak over Troy Aikman. I don't want Zeke or DeMarco Murray over Emmitt Smith. I would give the original triplets the advantage in all three spots. The only one that's really close is to most people's eyes is going to be Aikman, because Aikman doesn't put up the eye-popping numbers because that wasn't what he was asked to do. But he could outthrow either. You could combine the accuracy of Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, and it wouldn't equal Troy Aikman's accuracy. Troy Aikman had times where the guy couldn't. He literally said, "I couldn't see the ball. I just threw my hands out, and the ball went right into my hands in the route." I think.
Mike, I think
It was Jay Novacek that talked about that he's he would just go, he knew he could go up and get it. He was just so accurate. So I'm not worried about the eye-popping numbers. If Aikman wants to average 260 yards a game, that's fine, because I know if I need him in the new era of football to throw for 400, he's going to throw more accurately than the other two. So I'm not worried about it, and so, yeah, I'd take the original triplets aren't even in. I'll take the original triplets over you could give me both of the other two, in one thing, where you get Amari and Dez, you get DeMarco Murray and Zeke, you get Romo and Dak. I'll just take the original three, thank you, and win 3 Super Bowls, and should have been one more if they didn't get rid of the coach and curse the team forever.
Yeah, that's not that bold of a statement, because you look at those triplets, you give them the rules that we have today, it'd be fun to watch them play.
Oh, God. Aikman's accuracy again. And now the only thing that knocked Aikman out is because of concussions. Now you can't touch a quarterback. This man would destroy the league. And then Michael Irvin would be fine. You'd have to watch because he plays physical, so he might get some calls. But I mean, he'd just bully a bunch of people. And then Emmitt Smith is a monster. Like, what are you going to do? He would be, if he can catch the ball, that's not going to be a problem. You need him to block, no problem. He was one of the first complete backs that there ever was. He did everything. So, you could take him in any era, and I'll take the original triplets. And they won. So you don't have to worry about, like, do they have the pedigree? They're winners.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, you mentioned Jimmy and Jerry. Jerry made, I don't know if you want to call it a joke, or made a statement that Jimmy's going to be in the Ring of Honor in Jerry's lifetime. Other than Dak Prescott or one of the big 3 offensive linemen, is there a player on this current Cowboys team that you think could be inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor one day?
Prediction: the year Jimmy Johnson goes in the Ring of Honor, the Dallas Cowboys will win the Super Bowl. The curse will be broken.
Oh man.
Legitimately, people believe in Kurtz and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it'll just be, I'm telling you, it'll be like a destiny thing in around that area. Not that all the players know Jimmy Johnson or know Ring of Honor, this and that. It'll just be a thing. Like the Nick Eatmans and the Dave Hellmans and all the reporters will ask the like, now that Jimmy Johnson's in the, you know what I mean? So even though the players that don't get it, they'll be told about it so much that it'll be a thing for them. They're going to win the Super Bowl the year he goes in the Ring of Honor. You watch. That's my prediction. Save the tape. Now, as far as the group, Lamb, good God. Yes, it's early, but we're talking projections. CeeDee Lamb, my God, did you see what it's funny because what I'm about to talk about should be nothing. CeeDee Lamb beat Jalen Ramsey pretty badly in a practice rep. Who cares? It was a practice rep. Who cares? But the Rams fans went so crazy. They only saw this one angle and they were like, it's cover 3. He's playing the deep. Well, then they came out with another angle of it. And it shows it's a cover 3 match, which turns into a man. Lamb threatened him deep. And you could see his route running. If you watch his footwork, he gets Ramsey to have to play the deep ball, to have to honor it. And then he just breaks it off for an easy game. He beat him pretty bad. One of the best corners in the league. Doesn't matter in the long run. Who cares? Lamb's great. Jalen Ramsey's still the best corner in the league. Who cares? But because Rams fans are like, oh, what dumb Cowboys fans, they don't know how to look at cover 3. And then the other view comes out and it's like, oops, dummy. Yeah, no, your guy was playing and he just got beat by a really nice route. He threatened him deep. CeeDee Lamb has the speed to where you have to honor it. The other safety comes up because it's a match. So he's matching on the middle guy. Ramsey has to honor the deep ball. He doesn't want to give it up. Lamb breaks it off for an easy completion. Great play for him. Doesn't really matter. It's honestly not bad by Ramsey because if he worries too much about giving up anything, Lamb breaks him for an 80-yard touchdown. But because he was like, oh, no, you're not getting that. You can have this underneath one. It's only 15 yards. Rams defense is great. In a game, you have to do that to Ramsey 4 or 5 times to get down the field. So it's actually even a smart play by Ramsey. But because Rams fans got on their little crybaby horses like, oh, you guys don't know shit about coverages, this and that. Now it made it out to a big deal. Now I'm like, no, Ramsey got his ass beat by Lamb. That's what happened. When really it should mean nothing. So CeeDee's going to be the guy. That would be the guy if he's healthy.
Mike, we had a bit of a scuffle there at Saturday scrimmage. I can't help but feel like there's a little bit of a rivalry brewing between the Cowboys Nation and Rams.
Yeah, because Rams whip our ass every time. McVay knows how to attack our defense. They know the weaknesses, and they whip our ass. And then on the other end, Dak Prescott does the best he can to keep us in games. But if you run for 200 yards, he knew we couldn't tackle. Last year, all he said was throw 3-yard passes. They can't tackle us. They don't have good run and tackle guys. Run it up the middle on them. They have no defensive tackles. Their linebackers will be exposed on both fronts and we'll destroy them down the field. And the only reason it was 20-17 is because they were keeping the ball from our offense because they didn't want their defense at the time. They didn't know it was going to be as good as it was. Obviously that had to build in. You had a new defensive coordinator, but the job of the Rams offense was to keep our offense off the field. And it just so happened we only gave up 20 points. It looked great, but really they owned us up and down the field as much as they wanted to. It was embarrassing. So yeah, it's a big rivalry.
Yeah, we've only won, and I believe it's 2020, 2019, 2018, and 2017. So four meetings, we've only beat them once, and that once was a meaningless game in 2019, really.
Yeah, we crushed them, but it meant, they were pumped for that game the whole time after they got their ass beat in the playoffs, but it meant nothing, didn't do anything for us. So knocked them out.
Yeah.
So that was good. But yeah, in the end, McVay's owned us pretty good.
Yeah, he has. Going back to the original question, Mike, who I think on this current team could be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor one day, I could see Micah Parsons being in there, man. I think he's going to develop into a special player. He's got a good outgoing personality. If he develops into what we think he will, and you add in his personality, I think he's a future superstar.
All right, Micah right, hasn't played one game yet, and you're putting him in the Ring of Honor. Wow.
Hey, I'm just saying that's what I'm thinking, because I feel like he's that type of guy that Jerry's going to be able to market, and he's going to be in the public eye a lot.
All right, F it. Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson will not be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. I can tell you right now. He's going to be starting safety, not going to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Oh, Mike, what was more entertaining, watching the Hall of Fame game or watching Dak watch the Hall of Fame game?
The Hall of Fame game was atrocious to watch. And I had to watch every play because I'm doing all those player profiles for Cowboys Wire. So if Odigizua gets a sack, I want to add it in. I want to, bring it up and stuff like that. It was atrocious to watch. So pretty much any other option. So I'll take Dak. Any other option, really, like whatever you want to add after that, I'll take that option, especially once DiNucci got in. Oh, my God. Impossible to watch. Can't watch football when Ben DiNucci is the quarterback. Terrible.
Oh, gosh. Thanks to Mike McCarthy, Dak's shoulder has become a big topic, Mike. At what point, do you think it's a bigger issue than we think?
Not at the moment. I guess
you don't seem so sure of yourself.
It's a tad scary, pun intended. Tad Prescott, his brother, but the reason is only because what they've done the last few years. Like, oh no, Sean Lee's fine, he's fucking out forever. Lyle Collins, he's day to day out for the whole year. Like Tyron Smith's fine, he's day to day working, IR. Like they lie so much about the injuries that every injury, like Neville Gallimore had a ankle sprain. And I'm like, okay, is he out 8 weeks or what is it? Like, because you can't trust what they're saying. So is it a tad scary? Of course, but he did throw today. So that is great news. But yeah, because of the history of Dallas, you have to be a little bit scared.
I got some reassurance today, Mike, because I was listening to a 105.3 The Fan. Shout out to the G-Bag Nation. And Todd Archer came on the show, and he was talking about Cowboys camp, and he said that he didn't think that it was a big deal, and that Dak Prescott was practicing today, not making the type of throws that he would probably be making at this time. But he said from what he saw, that he didn't think that it was an issue at all.
That is good news, because you need to get it from other people, because our front office talking about injuries is horseshit. Lyle Collins he's fine. He's just working out a hip thing. And then it was surgery and he's gone for the year.
But do you think that Lyle didn't stay in shape? He thought there wasn't going to be a season. So maybe his injury, while not that serious, was more serious because he was so out of shape, you think, out of man his size?
I think they knew it was a problem already, and they tried to bullshit us into thinking it was nothing when they knew. They were like, okay, we're screwed here. We're going to have the surgery, but we don't want everybody panicking. So we're going to sell it as, everything's fine. That I believe. I don't know how much of it is on Lau going into camp fat. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Especially when you see him this year. But I definitely believe they thought they knew it was legitimate and bullshitted us about it.
How excited are you about Lyle Collins this year?
Oh, so excited. I'm more excited about him than Tyron, because I expect Tyron in this game. If Lyle Collins is good to go and we only have to cover one tackle spot for, say, 5 games, say Tyron plays 12 and is ready for the playoffs and he misses 5, we might be the number 1 offense in football. If you tell me Zach Martin gets 14, Lyle Collins gets 15, Tyron Smith gets 12, and Biotish and Connor McGovern or Connor Williams are the other 2, and they play all their games, we're going to be the number 1 offense. There's just too many weapons, too good of a quarterback, too good of a play caller. And can you imagine if our special teams could get us the ball in like good positions now, like they did better last year, and our defense could get some turnovers like they did at the end of the year last year when we had a backup quarterback and offensive line. Like if that comes together, that's a lot of ifs, but Tampa Bay wasn't thought to be a contender like that. Not 10 weeks into the season, they weren't. They were like, oh man, it looks like we're gonna have to wait till next year. And then they hit a stride. Don't let us hit that stride going into the playoffs. I'll give the Joneses this credit. They have a team good enough to win if they get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
If everything's neutral, I'm not picking them over 5 other teams. If they are hot, they can win every week. And if you get in the playoffs hot, you just never know.
I just think about, man, having Tyron, Zach Martin, Lyle, and then Connor Williams maybe being the player that we thought he could be.
Yep. And Tyler Badass.
Yes,
Kid's
sir.
going to be good. Kid is going to be good. Cannot wait. Oh,
Well, what do you make of him not, Connor Williams taking reps at center and over Biotish?
just a backup. You need to get your backup center reps with the first team. You have to. Every team will do it. You have to get your backup center reps with the first team because you never know what's going to happen. So Connor Williams is the left guard. If Tyler Biotish is injured, Connor slides over, McGovern moves in, and you move on. The worry is if something happens to more than one of the tackles. That is a tackle and a inside player, especially if it's Zach Martin. So, keep 4 of the 5 guys healthy. Keep both offensive tackles healthy, and it's over.
Is Connor McGovern our future left tackle?
Connor McGovern is probably going to be your left guard after this year. I think McGovern will take over for Connor Williams after this year. Connor Williams will go get us a comp pick. He'll get I think he's going to get a good amount of money because he's a damn good guard. And then people will forget that he was on Dallas and got blown up a couple times on reps and pushed back a couple times. And he's going to get a lot of money, and we're going to get a comp pick. And then we're going to sign Connor McGovern to a cheap deal for the next 3 years. And he's going to be really good for us. And him and Biotish will be more of a powerhouse push up the middle type run with Zach Martin.
Do you consider Connor McGovern a bust as of today?
I mean, I guess he kind of has to be. He hasn't done anything. He was the 3rd top 100 pick. So I guess not a bust. Bust is harsh. Bust is like he's not on the team. He didn't do anything, but like that was his first preseason game. How crazy is that? This is his 3rd year.
Yeah, that is
first
crazy to think
preseason
about.
game.
Yeah.
Because COVID last year. So I wouldn't go as far as bust, but he definitely has not lived up to the hope that we had when we drafted him in the 3rd round.
Well, who's been much more disappointing, Tristan Hill or Connor McGovern?
Tristan Hill. To play and be inactive every week is a lot worse than you got injured, So he was available and they just didn't play him as a what was he, like the 58th overall pick or something like that? He's 2nd round pick, like look at Trayvon Diggs and what he did. Look what we're expecting out of Boss Man Fat, and then Tristan Hill inactive every week, basically, and I'm not going to hold an injury against him, but if we're going to hold it against McGovern his first year, you got to say, hey, inactive and then injured. So yeah, I'd say Hill's worse.
I would agree. But, Mike, we know that our defense is still a work in progress, and we were talking about Dak's shoulder, but let's just say our defense is middle of the pack, but Dak never gets to 100%. Do you think that Dak at 75% still makes Dallas the favorite to win this division?
No, I think Fitz would beat him if Dak's only 75% because Washington's defense is really, really good and their offense is good enough. What we're going to rely on is, your defense is good. That's fine. We're going to blow you away with our offense anyway. Like I expect us to put 30 plus on Washington's defense, even with that great defensive line, all that. They got to go against, they can't cover our receivers. They can't cover our tight ends. Our offensive line is good enough to win a lot, even versus that defensive line. So I expect them to win some matchups there. Honestly, I expect them to win 50% of their matchups, even against that great defensive line in the run and in the pass. So they're going to be fine. But they're good enough. If Dak's not 100%, the Washington football team with Fitz will do enough to win the division.
Yeah, I want to say yes, but I'm right there with you, Mike. If Dak is at 75%, I think we're no better than Washington and New York. I feel like Fitz with his defense and Jones with his offense, I feel like they could be just as good as Dallas.
Yeah, I would just like to say that before this next question comes, I hate that he's even putting it in the universe. He does the show sheet. He asks the questions. I only answer him. So Just remember that, Cowboys Nation. This is at Paul_Ryan15. Yell at him. He hates Michael Gallup and he wishes Dak Prescott would get injured. All right. So with that, what was the next question, Paul, you wanted to ask?
Speaking hypothetically, if Dak were to be out for the rest of the season, would you trade players like Lawrence, Gallup, and others to save on cap space and acquire more draft picks?
If anything were to happen to Dak, I would trade podcast hosts. That is what would happen. I can't knock on wood more than that. If Dak Prescott got hurt, I'd be curled in a fetal position with my Lamb jersey over my head crying, and I wouldn't really care what they did. The honest truth is Zeke and Tank are a little bit too high money to there's nothing really you can do with them. But I mean, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. Trade whoever. I would just cry. That's my answer. I would cry. That's what I would do. I don't care who you do, whatever you want. I'm going to cry.
And talking about Tank Lawrence, what is the least you'd accept for Tank in a deal just to get his money off the books?
Well, man, even a trade would cost you a lot, but I would say, man, I got to get a top 100 pick. I mean, Tank's good, man. I got it. Probably a second round pick is as low as I'm going. So maybe top 50.
Tank on who would return to Tank of 2018?
Oh, if it was Tank in 2018, you're not getting it.
No, I'm saying if we were to trade Tank to a team, him going there, he would return to his 2018 form. What team would that be?
Seattle, he would be good. Damn, I'm trying to think. I'm looking right now.
I bet he'd be pretty good on the Rams.
Minnesota. The Ram, but I don't know their defensive coordinator's new scheme, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course, he would be good. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey's on it.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine him on Cleveland's defensive line?
I don't like him in a 3-4.
Oh, okay.
And they run that more. They're more outside linebacker thing. So yeah. Minnesota would be one. Seattle would be one. I'm going through the line. Chargers 3-4. Washington. Jesus. Can you imagine him opposite Chase Young taking over for Montez Sweat? Disgusting. I don't even want to think of that. Philly with Cox and them, because they run a little wide 9, which would not be great for him. But if they ran their regular, when they had wide 9, they could take him out. He needs a rest anyway. He'd be good on Philly. He'd be good on a lot of teams. The Raiders. Be good on the Raiders. Yeah. He'd be good outside rusher on them. The Bears. Ugh. Gross.
What are you hoping to see from Tank this year? Realistically, of course.
I am hoping that he is able to get him and Randy Gregory to combine for 20 sacks. Because I know, yeah, because my thought is one of them gets 8.5, the other gets 10 to 12. And just because Gregory's the one that gets 12 doesn't mean he's the better pass rusher. Because just look what he did for Quinn. Everyone shifts to Tank, and Quinn was able to eat. And I think it's going to be the same thing. And the hope is Bohanna and Osa and Gallimore can take a few of those, and Randy can take a few of those. And now Tank can get a little bit more one-on-one and get his own sacks. That would be nice. But 8.5 from Tank, 11 from Gregory. That's 19.5. I'd be happy with that.
Man, I think if Gregory were to get close to 12 sacks, he might price himself out of Dallas, sir.
Man, I don't know, man. That the edge rusher is the one thing that the Joneses know they need to pay for. They traded for Quinn and they restructured his thing. They tried to bring in Bennett. Like, I know these are cheap things, but if you look, who was the guy last year who got him a pick in return? Everson Griffin. Mm-hmm. They understand how important that opposite side is. And they might just bite the bullet and go, look, we're going to lose Gallup. We're going to lose Dalton Schultz. We have to restructure a few things. Maybe they say we bring back Gallup and lose Cooper to say Gallup's 12 million, lose Cooper, save that 8 million, go get Gregory. You know what I mean? And try to give Gregory 11. Maybe they give Gallup and Gregory the 11 to 10 to 12 million and let Cooper go and let Jalen go and let Schultz go and let LVE go, and they rely on the young guys and Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown both go. Like going into the next year, people think it's crazy, but they may just have to go young. That's all.
And so, I mean, if we were to go young, people would assume that we might be not so much in the rebuild, but kind of reloading that would, I don't know, as a Cowboys fan, I might be a little bit uneasy thinking about Dak's contract and all those pieces, all those veteran pieces being signing elsewhere off our defense.
I think it's going to depend on how. One, do you bring back Gregory? Because if you bring back Gregory and I tell you Osa and Bohanna are what we think they're going to be, like maybe they're not special players, but you could tell they can contribute. Neville Gallimore, Randy and Tank, Cox and Parsons. Cox has got to build up.
Yeah.
Keanu Neal. And then you look to see what, you like Diggs. You think Boss Man's going to be good. A lot of us think Donovan Wilson's going to be a player, that he's not perfect. He's not an all-pro, guys, but he's going to be a player. He's going to be a playmaker. Can they go into next year and sign Randy Gregory and say draft a safety in the top 100 that becomes a playmaking free safety? Or Mukwamu does. We don't know. Maybe he does. But if they nail that, what's wrong with that defense? Now use the draft to continue to build depth. Because on the other end, you need an offensive line. You need an offensive tackle. Absolutely. I wouldn't mind that in the first round. You need a late wide receiver because Gallup's going to go. You likely bring back a Cedric Wilson or a Brown on a cheap contract to be that insurance, a guy could be the third guy if you need him to. But they could go into next year drafting offensive tackle first round, wide receiver sixth round, and all defense again. And now the defense, you look at it, and if you're only paying Gregory and Tank, really, who else are you paying? Jalen's gone. LVE's gone. Cheeto's gone. Byron's gone. All those guys. Crawford's gone now. LVE, all those guys that were making money is gone. But you have really good young ascending defense with a Tank, with a Randy Gregory. That's not bad if your offense can stay elite, if they can replace Michael Gallup enough to remain elite.
Right. I guess if you're going to lose experience on defense, let it be linebackers and maybe your cornerback 3 and 4, I guess.
Yeah. And especially the way we drafted. We drafted to be better at next year. If I told you that Parsons, Cox, and Neal are your starters, nobody's going to be pissed. Parsons is Mike. The other two at Will and Sam. You know what I mean? You have all three of them have the ability to cover. We've seen that from Parsons. I was the first one to go. He never was asked to do it. That he had the athletic ability to, but we're picking him at 12, and we've never seen him do it because Penn State didn't ask him to. Well, now you've seen he can cover some guys. He's shown in training camp. We'll see how it goes in the regular games, but you can't say he's lost out there. Like, no, he runs with tight ends fine. He's good in his zone. He's quick. He reads things. He goes and tackles. So I'm honestly, it's a long shot for this year. I understand. And we're going to lose a lot of depth, but I really believe next year we are going to be, barring health, we are going to be a nasty team to deal with because this defense is going to build and they have a lot of good young players. They could be nasty next year.
Yeah, I guess when you think about it, it's nice that at least you have your core in place for the future, and the assets you're losing are kind of they've shown you who they are. They weren't really worth signing to second bigger deals or keeping around. They're not irreplaceable.
Gallup is awesome. He's still wide receiver 3. It's going to be a drop off, but Cedric Wilson can do that job, and the team will still average 30 points a game. It just won't be as good. Dalton Schultz leaves. Is Jarwin good? Is McKeon good? You have guys that replace it. Right now, he's a tight end 2 or a solid tight end 1. Mm-hmm. He's not a blockbuster, not Kelsey. Jalen. Everybody wants to get rid of him anyway. LVE could be a loss, but you worry so much about his health. Do you want to pay him and risk him getting hurt again and being out all the time?
Right.
Gregory is the one. You got to have that guy opposite Tank. So Either Gregory or somebody they could bring in that really affects the quarterback opposite tank is going to be the key next year.
Mike, you're on fire tonight, sir.
I appreciate you, man. Not bad for 4 hours sleep in 2 days, physically dead from working 2 jobs when I'm disabled. Not bad. I'm bringing it. Donovan Wilson.
Yeah, as usual, you're carrying the show tonight.
Fueled by Daphne's. Daphne's, the new sponsor of About the Cowboys.
Man, we can only hope, so that'd be nice.
I'm going to ask about that. Why the hell not?
Hey, exactly. Never hurts to ask. Mike, here we are with our 3rd week of our newest segment, Top 5. And this week you selected the category and you decided to go with musicians/bands. So, Mike, you want to start us off? Or you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Just so you guys know, rappers are going to be another category we do another time. Rappers are not in this. It's too hard to get all that. Like that's you could do 2 of those. So honestly, the 5th one was hard because I just had so much to do. I know the top 4 instantly, like right away. I knew it. So the 5th one, I was like, well, who do I like right now? I really enjoy The Weeknd's music. And you'll honestly find out why as the list gets to the top. But I love The Weeknd. I love almost everything he puts out. It's weird. Like I don't really listen to new music. I'm somebody that listens to like the 50s, 60s. I like my dad's oldies music. But The Weeknd just has a style that fits my number one guy. And so he reminds me of him. And because I like his stuff, and he's kind of been out more than, because I love Bruno Mars too, but I like Weeknd stuff that's been out currently more than what, Bruno Mars kind of hasn't had. He had that one thing, but I haven't heard it much of his new stuff. So I love Bruno Mars. He's 6th, but I put The Weeknd 5th because I like some of his stuff right now.
So how did you pick yours? And I know that you like The Weeknd's music. Obviously, you like their music, but did you also associate maybe seeing them in concert, like how often you listen to them, or where like you always made sure to buy their newest album, things like that, places and time?
Here it is. I have 4 that I easily knew were my top 4. Okay. Hey, let's do me because I was trying to find something easy because I'm really busy and I want to make the show good and I want to have quality content.
Right.
But I needed an easy top 5. Anyone that knows me knows my top 4. I mean, my friends that like we're friends on here, but you haven't been to somewhere where I listen to music or put on my iPod playlist. I have a really weird eclectic playlist, but if you look at my top 4 guys, litters my playlist other than Eminem because he's rap. I have a ton of Eminem too. Okay. So I would bet 2 of these guys you don't know. The next 2, I bet you have no idea who they are until I go, you don't know the names until I tell you. And then you'll be like, oh shit, that's him. That's them, huh? But the 4 were easy. So the 5th guy was just me going, well, who do I listen to a lot of right now? Well, I love Call Out My Name. I love Save Your Tears. I love Blinding Lights. Feel It Coming. I just love the Weeknd's music's awesome right now. I just really like it. I enjoy it. So I just threw him in here as like hey, there's one new guy that I really listen to. So let's throw him in this top 5. Would he really make my top 5? He's too new, so probably not. But why not throw him in here right now when I'm kind of trying to put together a top 5?
Not a bad one to start the list with for sure, because I enjoy The Weeknd's music. Number 5 for me, I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but Mr. Jack Johnson.
Oh yeah, I know Jack Johnson. I know the name, and if I heard the song, I'd know it, but I can't associate the name with the song.
Well, he did like the Curious George soundtrack from a couple of years ago, like that one of the more recent Curious George movies, and he's got an album, In Between Dreams. It's got like a yellow cover where he's like reaching for a tree. That's got a really, that's probably the album that I listen to.
What's the song that I would know?
Banana Pancakes, maybe?
No. See, this is why it's hard for me to do a top 5 music. Yeah. Because I know the name. I absolutely do. If I heard the song, I would go, oh, I love this song. And then people go, oh, that's this guy. And I go, oh, shoot, that's him. I found out I was a Justin Bieber fan because I kept going, oh, yeah, I like this song. And the person would go, oh, that's Justin Bieber. Right. And that happened like 5 times. And I was like, shit, I like Justin Bieber. When did that happen?
He's had some bangers, sir.
Yeah, that's how it works. Like I'll hear stuff and not know who the person is, but I'll like the song. I thought Ed Sheeran was a black guy.
Really?
No idea he was a white redhead. None. Until like 4 songs in, when I was like, this guy's really good. I like this. And my brother was like, this is the guy that does this song. And I go, that's the same guy? What? And he was like, yeah. And then he showed me, I was like, wait a minute, that guy's white? No idea.
So the way I kind of made my list was I was thinking about musicians and bands where I always make sure to get their newest album that I've seen live, and also that just listening to their music takes me back to simpler times, kind of places and times associated with good memories.
I have iTunes, so I haven't purchased music in. A matter of fact, before iTunes, I just downloaded the music. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I haven't purchased music in decades. I would say it's been forever. I have like the original 50 Cent.
Oh,
how long ago was that? I remember I bought that, and Eminem. I would buy Eminem and Dr. Dre stuff. Other than that, I was a download person. I was a bad boy.
So Mike, who do you have at number 4?
All right, ready to confuse everyone. The group is called Lonely Island. Do you know who that is, Paul?
Yes, that's Andy Samberg.
Yes.
And I can't think of the other 2 guys' names, but man, they're hilarious.
Nobody remembers the other 2 guys' names. Sorry, guys. I love you. I watch every movie. I have every. I didn't pay for every album, but I have them all. Yee. Sorry. Being outed. I love Pop Star. I think Pop Star is just hilarious.
Greatness.
I'm so humble. It's so good. If you guys don't listen to Lonely Island, listen. It's a total comedy group. It's a total joke, but it is like their beats are legitimately good, and a lot of their rhymes are good. And then Andy Samberg will come on and just say outlandish shit that like takes it way over the top on the song and makes it so funny. If you're gonna listen to their music, I recommend it's called the Bin Laden song, Finest Girl. YOLO, You Only Live Once, only they reverse it into like hide, like don't do anything because you don't want to risk it because you only live once. Lazy Sunday, which is about the song's so good, the Chronicles of Narnia, but it's really a weed song and how it makes you eat snacks. Lonely Island is hilarious. I highly recommend it. And that's basically, I listen to a lot of comedy albums. So expect more of that.
Okay. So yeah, I know who's going to be on this list, and I know at least one more person. So
yes, sir.
4, Mike, I have the Toadies, the Texas band. Are you familiar with them?
I do not know them.
Okay. They're kind of like, they're not heavy metal. They're close to alternative, I guess, a little bit more hardcore than alternative, but they're a Texas band.
Is it one that I would know a song, a mainstream song?
You ever hear the song Tyler?
Boy, I should have picked a different category. I forgot how much I suck at music. Like, I can't tell you, I have no idea that Justin Bieber's singing. That's how little I know. I'm just like, good song. And then somebody's like, that's Justin Bieber. I'm like, oh shit. Like, I don't know. Ariana Grande, can't tell you any of them. I can't tell you. So I don't listen to the radio enough. I put on my iTunes, and a lot of times I listen to the four seasons with Frankie Valli. Like I'm old school. I like when music had heart. And it meant something. Like those guys really loved. Like it wasn't I got a bunch of money and I screwed every woman in the world. Like I'm an old school. I'm a romantic. I always believe in that like fairy tale. I'm a Disney person. So I believe in all that. So I love those songs like Original Kings of Comedy, where the guy cries through the whole damn record because he loves the woman so much. Like I love that kind of stuff. So new radio stuff, forgive me. I'm just not very good.
Yeah, the Toadies, they're pretty old, man. I mean, they were popular in like the late 90s and stuff, early 2000s.
Oh shit. See, I didn't even know who they were.
So
I thought it was some new group.
No, they are not new. Who do you have at number 3?
Number 3, here's one that nobody will know. Steel Panther. Any idea?
Man, that name sounds familiar, but maybe it's just because of 2 words I hear often.
Okay, so Steel Panther, one thing, Anchorman had the cologne, the Steel Panther.
Okay.
This group used to be a cover band for old 80s rock songs, Journey, stuff like that.
Mhm.
They have all the rock song. Like I show my dad the songs because he likes that old school rock,
Yeah.
and they hit it perfect. But they're a comedy band, so they are hilarious. They're super offensive. Do not, if you were born before like 1990, don't listen to this music because you will you're too woke for it. It is incredibly offensive. If you're religious, don't listen to this music. It is incredibly offensive, but it's hilarious, and it has the 80s hit of the song. My little brother's best friend, he's like my little brother, Kevin Fowler. He told me about this group. He showed me this group, and it has songs like Community Property, which is the song starts off as a total love song about how he loves this person so much and he can't wait to get home to him. And you always like mow the lawn and you make food for me when I get home. But he's like, but when I'm on the road, my dick is community property and I'm screwing everybody. And it is hilarious. And you have to be okay with being offended. But if you are, man, the you can imagine some of the songs. One of the songs called Turn Off the Lights. And it's about, the whole song is about how like he lost the bet and he has to have sex with this girl, but please turn off the lights before we get started because you're ugly as hell. I mean, it's so offensive, but I love it. They have so many songs. And if you, the first one you want to listen to, just give them a chance. It's called Just Like Tiger Woods.
Oh,
And the song is, yes, the song is about how even if you've never played golf in your life, you could be just like Tiger Woods if you just screw around with every girl in the world. So it's super offensive. It's hilarious. As long as you're like old school George Carlin, Bernie Mac, and you don't mind being offended and you like that 80s style rock music, put on Just Like Tiger Woods. If you don't laugh or you don't like the loudness or the style of rock, no big deal. If you do, Community Property, Weenie Ride, Turn Out the Lights, Tomorrow Night, Party Up. I mean, they just have so many really good 80s rock songs that are really, really offensive and really funny.
Interesting, Mike. I don't listen to too much comedic music like that, but I'm always down for a good laugh.
They almost all, wait till you know who's next, right?
Worse.
We all know. Go to 3, you know.
At number 3, I'm going a little bit more lighthearted than you, Mike, and I'm going with Mr. Bob Marley.
Oh yeah. Who's that? No, I'm just kidding. I know that one. I know him. I know him.
If you didn't know Bob Marley, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, that's bad. I wonder if there's people that are young enough to not know who Bob Marley is that listen. Because it trips me out when I'm like, dude, Back to the Future. And like the kids at Daphne, because it's like me, Muhammad, Steph, and all 18-year-olds. And like, we'll do like, yeah, so we're like Back to the Future. And they're like, I don't know what, huh? And I'm like, dude, Back to the Future. No, don't know it. Blows my mind. I'm like, what kind of parents did you have?
I know you like Back to the Future, Mike, so I'll suggest this. If you're bored looking for something to watch, go to Netflix and watch a series called The Movies That Made Us.
I watched every episode already, my friend.
Oh, okay. The one about Back to the Future was awesome, dude.
It was. Jurassic Park was a good one.
I didn't watch it. I've only seen the one.
It's 8 episodes in total. Back to the Future is the first episode of season 2. Definitely watch them all. Pretty Woman. It's Pretty Woman, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, and
was it Forrest Gump? The true
Forrest
story?
Gump. That's the season 2. Those are the 4 episodes. So highly recommend. Look, we're shouting out everybody.
Forrest Gump, true story, y'all.
Isn't that crazy? My second guy is Weird Al. We're sticking with the comedy theme. Rock and roll legend, Hall of Fame. The thing that guy can do is brilliant. I listen to all his stuff that he writes. I love the stuff that people just think that all he does is take songs, like covers from other songs and put in his own comedy words into it. He also does his own songs. They're just kind of like they sound like Three Doors Down, like they're that type of style, but they're not covers of specific songs, and those I love. Weird Al is an absolute genius. He's the best. I was so happy that he finally got a #1 hit this last album, that he finally hit #1 in sales, and it's because of he inspired Lonely Island. he inspired Lin-Manuel Miranda. The reason Hamilton, and this from Lin-Manuel Miranda, the reason Hamilton exists is because he grew up listening to Weird Al Yankovic, and he didn't grow up thinking that there was a genre of music. You could do everything because Weird Al did everything. He did White and Nerdy, which is off of Riding Dirty from Chameleonaire.
Yes, sir.
Like his Crazy Bone segment is better than Crazy Bones. And I love Crazy Bone. I have both those songs. I love them both. Weird Al's just amazing. So, I mean, I'm not even going to go through a list. You should know Weird Al. Everybody should know Weird Al. So I'm not even going to go through how amazing that is.
You mentioned Crazy Bone. I imagine you're a fan of Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah, big fan. They're amazing. I have a lot of their songs on my playlist too. Thuggish, Ruggish Bone, Crossroads, First of the Month.
Dude, that East 1999 album is just straight fire.
So unique. So unique. They did it when nobody else. It was basically Nate Dogg, and he didn't really rap like they did. And then Bone Thugs, and it was just, they were awesome.
So, Mike, at number 2, I would imagine you're familiar with this band, but Sublime.
Yes, yeah. Sublime, I know. I'm not an overly huge fan of them, but my neighbor loves Sublime. It's like her favorite band. So,
oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Sublime is good. I like Sublime. I know them. Yes, 2 of them.
Typically good vibes, kind of like a reggae rock type vibe. Hard to not like them for me.
Yep. No, I do. It's not my style of music, but I do like Sublime.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 1's the king of pop, Michael Jackson, easily.
Yeah.
I'll throw away the other 4 if I just have Michael Jackson. He is. I grew up on him. I absolutely just love his music. I think Billie Jean's the greatest song of all time. Thriller, Human Nature, and Beat It might even be in the top 5. I don't even compare other artists to him. And I think Prince deserves to be in that. Prince, Elvis, there's certain guys that belong in that tier, that belong in his table, but it's his table. He's the guy. He's Patrick Mahomes. You know, there's guys in that tier with him, but he's Patty Mahomes. He's the king. He's my guy. So yeah, Michael Jackson easily number 1.
You know, I don't think anybody will ever have a catalog like Michael Jackson had.
No, he's untouchable. It's just ridiculous. His number 1 hits are there's
classic,
no reason to even go through it. Yeah, he's just name the song. I love it. He's just a beast.
I get to hear a lot of early Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 at work from time to time, depending on who's playing the radio.
Me and my friend Muhammad, the owner of the Way Back at Daphne's I work for, $300 tickets were going to see Michael Jackson in San Jose. Bucket list. He knew it was on my bucket list. I wanted. He died 6 months before the show. Crushed me.
Do you still have that ticket though?
We never got the ticket. We paid, but you had to, at that time, for his ticket, there were certain people you had to do it for. You got your stuff in, and then when it came down closer to the time, it was like a year in advance. You had to get these seats. Then when it came closer in time, they would send them out because things could change in that year. And then you would be given something that said, hey, when it changes back, you're good. So we never even got the ticket. They got a refund for him to him because Muhammad had to pay for it. I had to pay him back. But $300 seats, and they weren't even like great seats. They just were expensive because it was Michael Jackson. They were like middle of the road seats, $300, and it was bucket list. And I was devastated when he died because now that it's over, like I cannot complete that bucket list thing. It was taken off of there. And then I had Kobe go. Now I seen Kobe 100 times at Staples Center, but just like Kobe and Michael Jackson, damn, it's crazy, man. It's unbelievable. They go, just never know.
Can you imagine seeing him going to a Michael Jackson concert when he's in his prime?
Oh, forget it. It's there's videos of him on Moonwalker where it shows the audience like crying and singing. I legitimately would be like that. I know every song. I'm pretty sure I would cry during 3 of them for sure because I was seeing him perform them live. No doubt in my mind, I would be the hysterical fan that they would be filming Man in the Mirror, Man in the Mirror, Smooth Criminal, probably Billie Jean. Billie Jean, I'd probably be dancing. I used Swear to God, used to be able to do the whole beat it dance. I could do the whole thing on my toes because I tap danced. I could go on my toes and everything 30 years ago, could do the whole dance, beat it.
Wow.
It was crazy. And yes, I was fat, still fat.
Hey, but if you're still moving like MJ, man, that says a lot.
Not anymore.
Well, we should have that category, our top 5 Michael Jackson video/songs.
Oh, man. Billie Jean. It would have to be songs or videos because they're two different things. The guy made MTV. So, if you're doing videos, Thriller's number 1, Billie Jean's number 2. If you're going songs, Billie Jean's number 1. Man, that is rough.
Beat It's a good video, I think.
Huh?
I think Beat It's a good video.
Beat It's incredible. It's probably third. It's Thriller, because if Thriller never exists, MTV never exists. If that song, that video never happened, then music television never happens. It was Magic Johnson, Larry Bird for NBA. Like, it made it. So yeah. Well, give us your number 1. I'll talk about Michael Jackson forever.
Number 1 for me is going to be the band Incubus.
Oh yeah, I know them too.
They put on quite a show, my friend. I think that's what kind of put them over the top, because I've seen them in concert a couple of times, and just plus their catalog and how much I like of it, I think is what sealed the deal.
The only one that I've seen of this group live is Weird Al. I've seen Weird Al 3 times.
Okay. Did Weird Al ruin Bad For You at all with I'm Fat?
Weird Al's incredible. Incubus, I've heard. My friend Muhammad went and saw Incubus. He's a big fan of theirs too. So he said Incubus is Burn, right? The Burn song. I know Follow Me While I Burst into Flames. Burst, not burn. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. See? Yes. I know some of these.
I don't know if you heard me, Mike, but I asked, did Weird Al Yankovic ruin I'm Bad with I'm Fat For You? Or did he make you love it even more?
Yes. and Eat It. I love Eat It. They got Homeboy to do the guitar solo for them too. Sammy Hagar to do the guitar solo for Weird Al and for Michael Jackson, which is amazing.
Whoa, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I didn't know that he did that for Michael Jackson either.
Yeah. Wow, Sammy Hagar
awesome.
does that guitar solo that they have where he rips it up.
Yeah.
Van Halen. Little known fact, Van Halen was once called something else before they were Van Halen. They had their car, Panama, the little convertible Panama. My dad was a bouncer for them.
Whoa.
Personal bouncer before they ever became Van Halen. And it was I believe before David Lee Roth got there. They went on to big things, and obviously he stayed back in Pasadena or wherever it was they started. But yeah, crazy. My dad was a bouncer for Van Halen when they had some other name that I always ask him, I always forget. But yeah, and I only found that out like 10 years ago. I was 30 years old when I was like, what? Wait, what happened? And he was like, yeah, and he just doesn't talk about himself like that. So he was like, yeah, Eddie he talks, and it's crazy because he knew him so well because he was their bouncer, not like he worked at the club he was at. He was their bouncer. So he's like, oh yeah, man, Eddie would do this and that. Sam, it's like tripped me out. I was like, damn, like he knew them. It's crazy.
On a first name basis at that.
Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, Eddie was a badass, man. He would do this and that. And I was like, what? And he's not a braggart. My dad's not a like, oh, I did this and that. He doesn't care about all that. That's why I didn't know till I was friggin' 30 years old. He was on the court. This is true. You're going to think I'm bullshitting you. I swear to God. I found this out when I was like 20, 25. He was on the court with Pistol Pete Maravich playing against him when he died. On God. Swear it. Guy he goes, yeah, he was playing. He's, he went over, he goes, I got to go over and get a drink. Went to get a drink out of the water faucet, collapsed.
What the heck?
Yeah. And I said, how do I just know that? And he's like, he played in the rec. He goes, I played with him like 10, 20 times. He would come play in that league after he retired. They would come play. It was a bunch of competitive games. Damn, I need him in here to tell a story because he doesn't embellish it. He doesn't. That's how I know it's not bullshit. You know what I mean? You know the bullshitters, like they did everything. Oh yeah, I did. My dad's not like that. He's not one of those guys. So when I found out, I was like, fuck you talking. And he goes, no, really. Tripped me out.
That's insane, dude. Well, man, I think we're finishing on a strong note here, Mike.
Yep. Interesting facts about Mike Crum's father.
Yes, sir. Senor Piglet.
Yes. Senor Piglet.
Well, Mike, before we get you out of here, remind people where they can find you out on Twitter.
At CD Piglet, guys. C letter, D letter, Piglet. Nice and easy.
Mike, thanks for the clarification. Again, guys, I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.